Welcome to the College of Wealth podcast, the ultimate financial guide to help you understand your financial stresses and how you can build from it. Your lessons won't be in class, and your projects can either save you or earn you money. We host episodes 2 times a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays to help you reach your financial freedom. Now let's get started with your hosts, Owen, Paradis, and William Goulet.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Owen Paradis. I'm here with my co-host, William Goulet, and we're proud to present to you the College of Wealth podcast.
Podcast.
Yes. This is the College of Wealth podcast. This is a financial podcast that teaches you the latest and greatest information about money, because this is a crazy money-making world.
Absolutely. And I like that you corrected that it's not at the end of the day. I guess you really took that one in. No, you're right. On a daily basis, money making, there isn't a day in the past 100 years that money hasn't been made. So bang on.
Good point. And
crazy. Since the dawn of time, I'd say. So I'm in.
The moment money got involved, crazy.
Yeah, well, when money wasn't even involved, it got even crazier because they had to trade for who knows what, rocks? That's crazier now.
Yeah, exactly. But, in retrospect, we still have gold, silver, copper that we use, so...
Better than rocks.
Yeah,
pebbles.
But I don't want to go too long about rocks here because we are not a geology podcast.
What are we?
But I guess we could say we are we are a financial podcast, and we like to do a disclosure that because it's a financial podcast, we like to go and say this is for entertainment purposes only.
Okay,
we like to go.
Yes, a financial podcast. Yes, for entertainment purposes.
Yes,
but so only. I disagree, right? Because.
Really?
Of the quality of information that we provide. And I like the information that we provide. I think there's, even to people who are financially savvy, I think we deliver information that could be, there's always one takeaway per episode.
Yeah, for sure.
So instead of saying that we're entertainment purposes only, why not market that portion, the information part of it?
Mm-hmm.
And we could even involve it in our pitch, saying something like, it's informational and entertainment. Maybe, I don't know, put them together. Infotainment, something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I could see we could make that work. I could definitely.
I think we could.
Yeah, I think
we just got to remember it for next time.
Yes, I think we would have to here.
Yeah,
but. In this idea, we do like to go and call the College of Wealth podcast an infotainment podcast.
Yes.
Because both Will nor myself are not financial advisors here.
Certainly not me anyways, Owen. Not me.
Me either here.
Yeah, true.
But we do have a background in business. We do have a bachelor's degree in business. We do work in business. True. But we don't have the accreditation per se with that kind of stuff. We just go and say that we have a passion for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I forgot to say last Thursday, that our interest is valid. And I mean valid in the Gen Z sense.
Yes. Our interests are also valid for 2 other reasons. And what are those reasons, Will?
Well, whether it's saving money like in the past episode, which we like to do, because by saving money, we can either avoid having our net worth go down, or sometimes savings can be contributing a little bit more to actually grow your net worth.
Yes,
what's another word for growing your net worth? Our interest, it lines up perfectly. We like to make money.
Well said there. Very well said.
Thank you.
So I think that's the best way to go and summarize the College of Wealth podcast. We like to make and save money here.
Yep, I agree.
So before jumping into episode 117, we like to go and do a little bit of a shout out here. If you haven't done so, give us make sure, if you like the podcast, of course, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. It helps us with the algorithms here. Yeah. We're 117 episodes in at this point. We are going to have more episodes produced. Yeah. It'd greatly be appreciated, honestly. And if
there's not another episode that comes out, call the police, guy. I'd like to jump in. Tell you what, if you do like our content, if you're watching on YouTube, sometimes you'll see last episode we started adding a little bit of effects to it as well. You'll see a little bit more of that going forward, right? Effects, I mean visuals, things like that. Yes. So if you do like it, keep liking, keep subscribing, keep following, keep watching our content, keep enjoying our content, right? And which is to say, our Instagram is also our most, let's say, visually developed platform where we post updates, stories about when we're posting. And personally, I really, really like the color theme that we have going on.
I like it too. Very, very clean. And talking about clean, today we have another set of 4s that we like to go and jump into.
Yeah.
We always have 4. We start off with 4 stats. We have 4 segments with each of 4 different points. And episode 117 is about financial goals you should be achieving in your 20s.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, I hope this isn't an exposition on what we're doing wrong here, Owen.
No, not at all, actually.
Great.
You'll be pleasantly surprised some of the stuff. It's pretty basic.
Sure.
And it's it's just very, very, it's pretty basic, but it's also really good in general as well to follow this information.
Well, I remember, go ahead.
I just noticed that my bedroom door just randomly opened up here. If you look at it in the background.
Well, a good thing is that when we're in split screen view, we don't see it. But you know what? We might just have to go full screen there and make sure to see it.
No, the reason why I'm saying that is my girlfriend just moved in here. And so we have a little bit of a mess in the spare bedroom trying to clean everything up here. We're both clean people.
I saw a bit of a change while I was editing yesterday's episode. I don't know if it was there before, but I saw a shoe rack. And if it was there before, I saw additional shoes on the shoe rack.
Yes, for sure. Now that we got this little bit of fun done here, we got to talk about our stats. And this is all having to do with... Of course. And our first stat actually has to do with the brain development.
Okay.
At what age does our brain stop developing or stop growing?
25, I think it is.
Yep. 25 years old.
I know my biology.
Well, that's good. This one, there's 2 stats that are pretty easy and 2 of them that you'll be surprised.
Okay.
And our second stat, what percentage of young adults live with their parents?
I know it's increasing with today's cost of living.
You're right. Yes.
Let's call it a slick 20%? 20%.
20% is what you say?
Yes.
Try 52%.
Wow.
I'm going to classify this one as a flabbergasting stat.
I agree.
There's a second component to this.
Okay.
Because this is the highest that we've ever seen it since the Great Depression.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, everyone knows that we're not in a depression or a recession.
No.
So long as we get to keep twisting words.
Yeah, exactly. And for anyone who wants to know the classification of young adults, it's anyone between the ages of 18 to 29 years old. And this is according to Pew Research Center.
Yeah, we're seeing that as part of political campaigns now, too, saying people can't afford to leave their parents' homes.
Leave home.
Right? So, yeah, very interesting.
Well, it ties in with our third stat here. And it's I'm going to ask you, Will, what is the average net worth for people between 25 and 34?
Average net worth 25 and 34 is getting a little bit.
I've said the stat.
$80,000.
I've said the stat more than once before.
$40,000. $40,000. I think it's less.
$9,000.
Whoa. Wow.
And the main component behind this is because
student debt?
usually on average, the average net worth goes positive at around 30 years old. 31 years old. Yes, that's when you first start seeing a positive net worth because of student debt. Student loans.
Interesting.
And our last stat, this one is also extremely surprising, but once I break it down, it's not as surprising. What percentage of loans will go into default or expected to go in default in 2023?
Oh, I know it's getting pretty scary for a lot of people. I'm gonna say doomsday 23%.
40%.
Whoa. Okay, that one I think might be a second flabbergasting, dude.
And the reason behind this, and what they define as default, are long-term loans.
Okay.
And they're saying that 40% of loans that last approximately over 20 years will go into default.
Really?
And that kind of makes a little bit more sense. If you have a hard time financing loans over 20 years times, it means that you may be in a more troublesome position financially.
Oh, it's a forward-looking, pessimistic view, sort of.
Correct.
Thing. I see.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
And for a 20-year cohort, like I said, that would be like loans for people who have taken them out in 2002, 2004 type of thing.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's 20 years time.
Yeah, I guess. But wouldn't at this point they're almost done? They can just work it out between them. You know,
that's what they're trying to indicate. Yeah, like you said, forward looking in this case.
Oh, okay,
scenario.
I see.
Yeah. If you're not able to go and pay it off within 20 years time, then they estimate that your chances of not being able to pay it off are more than likely.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah. A little bit of surprising stats here for today here.
I agree, man. I agree.
But it talks a little bit about some of the points that we're going to be talking for financial goals that you should be trying to achieve in your 20s.
Can I guess the first one?
Yes, I don't think you're going to get it.
Go into a positive net worth.
I mean, yeah, that's a good one.
Right?
that's a good goal, but I have it even more basic for anyone who's listening. And this one here is to read a personal finance book or investing book. And if you haven't done so, read another one.
Yeah, great point. And cover to cover.
Yes. Yes. I actually, oddly enough, I have a few friends. I actually have a friend who's not really the most financially savvy.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of credits on Audible. I listen to Audible often enough, but I have some extra credits.
Yeah.
And so I told him, listen to Rich Dad Poor Dad. What is that? And he's always he goes in a cycle of, hey, I got money. I'm looking to, I'm spending it. Spend. Hey, can I borrow money? Hey, how can I save money? Spends it anyways. Hey, can I borrow money? And that's his cycle over and over and over. So I was like, you know what? Here's a credit. Here, I gave him the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Can you gift credits with Audible?
No, but you can gift books.
Interesting.
So I decided to give him the book, and he was able to. And I actually told him, I'll give you $20 if you could finish his book.
That's awesome. Yeah, one of my favorite YouTubers nowadays, Patrick Bet David. We talked about him a couple times
for sure.
What he does is that's his currency with his kids. Ever since they're 6 years old, you need to read 20 minutes a day, and.
Yes.
He has different gifts, and it's not chores, it's not whatever. It's you finish reading a book, and you tell me about the book, and once you have enough books, you can get this gift, you can get this toy, you can get this, that, and that's the currency that they use.
They think they're screwing you over by like, oh my God, look at how much you're reading, how much you're going to owe. Meanwhile, you're there, and it's like, look at how much they're freaking learning.
Yeah, well, once you're an adult, it actually is really smart. But when you're a kid, you're like, oh, it's so tedious, man.
Yeah, it's true. But as an adult, they say 35% of people read books every day or most days. And this is actually for high-income earners. 35% of high-income earners read most days. And it's a lot lower. It goes down to 25% to low-income earners.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to know. It's hard to calculate how many people actually read books regularly cover to cover. And I can almost guarantee you that it's significantly less.
Well, reading a book is not only just about gaining the knowledge. You can classify that as time invested into yourself and into personal growth and development, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those who do invest in themselves will tend to have better results than other people.
Yep.
You know, it's an investment.
Definitely true.
A neat tip. I totally agree with you. Audible is a neat tool to leverage. If you don't have time at all, well, maybe you have a commute, and maybe you can fill that commute instead of music, listening to an audiobook, right?
The only thing, yes, and that's where you're able to learn from it. If you are preoccupied and not listening to the podcast, you're not really concentrating to it, then don't listen to your podcast.
Yeah,
Not the podcast, but don't listen to the audiobook. You're not going to learn as much as if you're reading it. I don't know many people who actually learn from reading while taking care of the kids or situations like that. You're not learning. You have it on the background, and then go and tell me what you learned on that chapter. I can probably guarantee you didn't learn much.
Exactly. No, it has to be like concentrated time. And you know yourself best. If you're able to focus, then do it. If it takes you a long time to fall asleep, you can maybe turn on an audiobook if you like to have sound on. Yep. That's what I do, but I fall asleep so fast that I get 3 minutes of an audiobook, maybe.
Yeah. But the cool thing about books and audiobooks is once you get into them, you start getting motivation and understanding what's going on. You want to learn more about what's going on. And especially when it comes to finances, there are so many books out there that are not extremely technical, and you could just pick them up and read them as an average Joe. You don't have to go and get those. A lot of people think like a finance book, they think it gets all nitty gritty about financial terminology, about taxes, and about legal loopholes that you can. No, there are books like that, but there are so many books that are meant for just a regular Joe to motivate you and push you to the next level.
Well, and an easy answer to that is if you're thinking, oh, I don't want to do this because I'm only a beginner. Well, there's a quick solution to that. Google best finance books for beginners.
Yes.
Or if you think I don't understand like the average person, say best finance book for kids, for teenagers. What if you think you're at that level? Nothing wrong with going there.
No, exactly.
And you can ramp up from knowing nothing to knowing a lot just by doing it. Just do it. And actually, I think I want to add the quote of the day today.
Yes.
It's from the one of the founding members of the United States of America, Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, very nice.
And this applies perfectly to reading books because what you need is discipline. And here's what he says about discipline. He says discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. Right? So there's a little bit of that difference. And it's, I want this now. But if you absolutely want to learn about finances and better yourself, it's what you want most. And discipline's what will keep you coming back to that book day in, day out.
Mm-hmm. I could not agree more to that statement because it's true, though. It's to the point. I've said it many times prior to this. Short-term pains for long-term gains.
Exactly. And that works with almost anything in life.
Yes. Very good quote there by Mr. Abe Lincoln.
That's right. That's my friend Abe over here.
My homeboy.
Yeah, exactly.
The most important part about doing this step here, about achieving this goal, is to try and lay down the groundwork for financial literacy. A lot of people don't have financial literacy, and if they do, they don't really know how to be proactive towards it. They understand finances, but they don't act on it. And that's a huge, what good is it if you're not going to go and use it yourself?
Exactly. Yep.
And if you're able to look long-term and read these books, it'll give you the motivation to persevere and understand how much better you're going to be in the long term. Instead, push through those short-term pains of not being able to purchase that new vehicle, not going to get that second beer or anything like that. Honestly, I had a book that really, really helped me out here. I wish I could leave a review, but I didn't purchase it on Amazon. It was gifted to me. But when I was in university, I was going into university, I got a book called How to Save Money for Beer in Textbooks.
Oh, really? Never heard of it.
Yeah, well, you look on it on Amazon, it literally has 13 reviews. So you can tell how big this book is,
Yeah.
but it had a huge impact on me.
Nice.
And it was actually on scholarships, different scenarios on how to save money in Canada specifically.
Very
And
nice.
it was a huge contributor to me actually finishing school debt free.
Wow, that's inspirational. I can tell by how much beer you have.
Yeah. FY to anyone, I don't drink beer. So
Yeah.
I don't drink, period. But it was just a very influential book in general, and I learned a lot of tips and tricks. And it took me maybe 2 weeks to read. So
wow.
2 weeks worth of 2 weeks of reading for a lifetime
of savings.
Yeah.
That's wicked.
So now that we got the groundwork in place here, reading a book, it's important to go into the next step. Usually in your 20s is also when you start getting the groundwork for your credit score.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. True.
And it's our second segment, and it's to get yourself a credit score above 760, or in some case, like 740.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of people say 740, anywhere between over 740, 750. If you can get over that, so I've even heard 730.
Okay.
In general,
I've heard 720. I'm not even messing around. I did hear 720.
Yeah, so I'll say 740 just for the time being here. If you can get yourself a credit over 740, you'll know that it'll help you benefit substantially. But the biggest thing, they say that people in their 20s have an average credit score of around 630. Okay. This is according to Credit Karma, and then a FICO score of 662.
These are Canadian scores.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I mean 630 is pretty low.
Yeah.
The reason you don't have loans.
It's like a bell curve, right?
Yes.
And when they look at you as, okay, are you better than the average person? So if so, you'll get preferential rates. You'll get all sorts of advantages.
Yes, exactly. And if you don't have if you've only had a credit card or a credit score for only a year or two, well, that makes sense. Like I literally got my credit. I literally remember the first week of being 18 years old. My parents were like, "You're getting yourself a credit card."
Nice.
And I mean, I was like, at the time, I kind of sort of understood. I'm like, yeah, okay, but I was kind of scared to use it, whatever. But I was able to build my credit, and now I still have that credit account, and it's over 7 years old.
Nice.
In retrospect, I could have filed for bankruptcy, or like had a bad credit card, and it could have went through. It could have been wiped off by now, and I'm 25 years old.
No, that's true. Yeah, I think I had one. Everyone keeps challenging me on this, but I swear to God, I had a credit card when I was 16. And
you can.
I think you can do it with your parents as a cosign, right?
Yeah, correct.
So I was actually starting to build credit since the age of 16, and that was a great advantage to me. And by the time that I actually went to university, I was able to apply for a much better credit card with all these benefits to it, and it helps out. And my same thing as you. The length of your length of credit is your longest
history.
Credit is one of the important factors in establishing your credit score. So, if you don't have one, start today. Apply for the one that you do qualify for.
You'll know too, because if you have a short credit history, you'll know that if you do end up with a missed payment or anything bad that happens to your credit, it's going to affect you significantly.
Right. Yep.
Because it's let's just say you do a multiple choice question and there's only 2 questions and you get one wrong. Guess what? You just got 50%. But if you end up in a scenario where you end up with only 2 payments and one of them was missed, they just said you missed 50% of your payments here. Like that's not good. So you're going to get dinged really hard. But if you have 5 years of perfect credit payments, they can't and you miss a payment of some kind, it's not going to ding you as hard as if you just started.
Yeah, and if you have an amazing track record, you can have an oopsie, and sometimes you can even reach out to the companies. I've talked about this before. You could actually reach out to the company and say, hey, this is a mistake. I want to correct it. I want to stay on the right track. How can we do this? Again, open-ended question. Yep. And they'll come up with solutions for you. Sometimes it's, you know what, we can take this off if you're able to make a payment of $500. And if you can't make that, you can ask again, say, can we make that into 2 payments? Maybe it'll be yes, maybe it'll be no. But ask the question on how to better yourself, right? And they'll help you out.
I agree. It was actually one of the points that was our last point in regards to this. Because if you have a good credit history of some kind, you can get credit limit increases. You could also get bigger loans because of it. And there's more negotiating.
Right,
you can't come in like a big shot if you have literally no credit history with them and you have no rapport with them of any kind and ask for negotiating room, like wiggle room. You can't go and do that. But if you have been a client of theirs for 7 years or even 2, 3, 4, 5 years or anything like that, you're going to be able to go and build that rapport with them saying, hey, I got good credit history here. I've been on time. My credit utilization is low. I'm looking for a credit limit increase. And actually, when I went to go and get my new credit card, I was able to, and that's actually our final point to this, you're able to get better rates. Yeah. They were literally telling me, so for my card, I ended up getting, I think it was I'm going to lean towards like 6 or 8% cash back for 3 months. And it was between 6 or 10% cash back for 3 months.
Those promotions.
I'm going to lean towards 10% cash back. Yeah. And I was astounded by it. And once it went down to 3% cash back and 2% on everything else. And I was really astounded on everything else. Like, my God. And they said, first year paid off. You don't have to worry.
Oh, they waived the fee.
They waived the first year. And I've already made more money than what I would have made with the cash back, even on its regular rates.
Wow.
But I wouldn't have been able to if it wasn't obviously for my salary there, but B, also because of my good rapport with the institution.
Yeah, exactly. And it's this whole concept of a money-making wheel, right? You look at the wheel and it keeps on going. You're like, look at that go. Once you're able to start hopping into it, all these opportunities start presenting themselves to you. And as they start presenting themselves to you, you can say yes to some, no to others. It's your judgment. But it's a big snowball effect. It keeps accumulating. So hop in, build your credit.
Yeah. And that my first credit card that I have, that's actually still open, but because I have new credit cards, I switched to credit card. Originally, its credit limit was $1,000.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you, like, $1,000 is nothing nowadays as an adult.
Yeah, my first was $500.
There you go. There you go. But we have the same idea here. But you end up getting a $500 purchase on your credit card, which isn't astronomical of any kind.
No, normal purchase, I guess.
Yeah, you end up getting a normal purchase, a normal larger purchase. That's 50% credit utilization.
Yeah, or 100% in my case.
Yeah, or in your case, 100%. That looks bad on the credit report.
Exactly.
For this,
and if you're interested in more details about credit and how to build up your credit, we do have an episode on that too.
I would have to look at what episode specifically for the episode on. We literally have an episode solely on credit scores.
Yeah, it wouldn't be uploaded to YouTube, but it is available on Spotify and our legacy podcast posting platforms.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And now that we got the credit, our second objective put into place here, we have to talk about our third objective. And we spoke about this one at the beginning of the episode.
Okay.
And the third goal that you should be achieving in your 20s is to try and pay off your student loans.
Oh, yes. Yes, I agree.
Or any high interest loans that you have in general.
The first episode of the College of Wealth podcast is how to prioritize paying down loans.
Yes, it's true. And I like to go and say anything above 6% is high interest, in my opinion.
Sure. Yep.
That's just what I'm saying. Anything above 6%, 5%, I'm going to say like that's a car loan. It's not as astronomical.
Sure.
But for anyone who doesn't know, the average interest rate for student loans is 5.8%.
Mm-hmm.
And the average balance in the United States is approximately $32,000, almost $33,000.
Oh.
And in Canada, it's around $26,000.
Yeah. Wow.
Rates in Canada are significantly more or less expensive than in the United States when it comes
for
to
loans. Oh
yes.
Yeah.
Well, I
Okay.
mean the tuition
Student
rates.
loans.
Cost of tuition in Canada is significantly less than in
Oh
United
yes,
States.
yes. Yeah. So what do they call that? Servicing your debt.
Correct.
It's a lot higher cost to service your debt, which means paying off the interest.
Exactly. And if you're not planning on paying off your student loans, that is totally fine. But just know that taking out a loan afterwards is going to be a little bit more difficult because your debt to income ratio is a lot higher.
Yeah, great point.
And usually it's like the max is like 41%. I mean, for housing. But if you're taking out, like, I would even say like 36 to 38%, you're pushing at the 40% mark. But if you already have debt to service, like you were saying, if you're planning to go and make major purchases that may infringe on your debt to income ratio, you may just flat out get denied a loan.
Or you'll have to pay a premium and go for a worse kind of loan, saying, okay, well, we can do it at a 12% interest. I had a friend who purchased a used vehicle, and he had very poor credit. Mm-hmm. And his used vehicle, he got, I think it was 18% is what he was paying. Oh my God,
2% short of a credit card.
Exactly, and it was predatory. It's effectively predatory loan.
Yeah. Oh my Lord, yes.
So it's something like horrendous. That. If you have whatever to maximize the amount of money. I'm not talking about motivation, but to maximize the amount of money it'll cost you to pay it back. Prioritize the highest interest before anything else.
Yes. Yeah, exactly, and that's how you should be looking at paying off your student loans. Because it's a large amount. I know some people who are in their 30s still paying off their student loans.
Yeah. And sometimes it's advantageous. If you can get if let's say the market performs at 7%, and the market performs at 7%, and let's say your student loans are at 4%, some of my high school teachers are saying, yeah, I have no interest of paying it back sooner than I have to, because I'd rather use that money to make more. And outperform it. It increased their net worth at a more significant rate than what it cost them.
Good point.
So you got to balance that out, and according to your risk tolerance as well.
Exactly. And actually, it brings us to our third point for this segment. Mm-hmm. If you're talking about risk tolerance, but it also defines your future. If you're trying to go and make a purchase, whether it be a car, whether it be a house, whether it be anything, whether it be investments, if you have your student loans paid off, you have more wiggle room to save in the future.
Yes.
And if you do have that wiggle room, depending on how aggressive you want to be, you could go and put that down towards your student loans.
Right. Yep.
So it's your call. You could go and put all towards your student loans, or you could go and save up. It's all on your discretion. If you have enough to save up as well, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Well, and let's say you have a bank account that gives you 1%. And I was going to say, let's say you have $5,000 in your bank account, and you already have your emergency fund and everything set up. Mm-hmm. But you have a car loan at 5% that's costing you 5%. Yep. Okay, well, if you can afford it, maybe you should consider taking that out of gaining your 1% and actually save yourself that 5%. And then whatever you gain after that, it's peace of mind,
For sure. And it's all on your risk tolerance in that sense. You want to go all out. I know some people who absolutely hate debt of any kind, so they want to get rid of all of it. So they just they have their income. Okay, here's the bare minimum of the bare minimum to stay alive and just to feed myself, the roofing over me. I'm saying stay alive, but just living a minimalist lifestyle.
Yep.
And then finally use everything else to pay it off.
Yep.
Then once they have that, now they're able to go same note, but do the savings side at this point. But there's some others who like a mix. It's like, you know what? I like to save a little bit. It's okay if I have the debt. I'm fine with that. So be it.
Right on. I think that might make a good episode of money being tied up in equity, and people who like to pay back their homes faster than how they'll double their payments to try and
I'm writing
get
that down.
It freed up. That might make a good episode for us.
I like that. I'm writing that down right now.
But definitely, and it's all about how you want to prioritize your funds.
Yes.
And some people prefer one way to another, and there's no wrong answer so long as you keep moving forward. And go back to segment 1, the tip number 1: read personal finance books, see what different perspectives are. Right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it actually brings us to our last segment, and it's about in your 20s, try and attempt to purchase your first property.
Oh, yes. Yep.
If you're able to go and purchase your first property. Rent prices...
Hop in the wheel. That's that wheel in Snowball.
Yeah, hop in that wheel. Rent prices are not looking to go down anytime soon. They're just going up and up and up.
True.
But what ends up happening in these instances, loans can be for a mortgage, can be more cost effective than a student loan.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so it'll be lower than a student loan. But also it's a bigger loan too. I really hope your student loan is an equivalent to a mortgage, unless your mortgage is something like $50,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
like we said before, these $20,000 houses there.
Sometimes, actually, one of the craziest things that I've heard, I don't know how legal it is, but I heard that some people do this. They take their student loans. They have money to pay off their schooling. They use their student loans to buy real estate. And they use that as a down payment. And they say, okay, yeah, we can do it because you'll have a cosign or something like that. And they're like, okay, we'll make it happen. And then they start earning some cash flow. And it's risky. It's stressful. But if they're able to pull through at the end, they end up being ahead of other people. So again, big risk, and this isn't legal or financial advice.
This is not. We're not saying to do this here.
But it exists, and people do things like that in the world as well.
Yes, it's true. Big risk, big reward in that case there.
Exactly, big risk.
But in this case scenario, our second point towards this here is it also I already said it. Yes, I know. But for this episode, it gives you more financial security as well.
Yeah.
And you're able to predict what your next payment is going to be. You're able to go, there's not going to be any rent hikes of any kind. Your payment's going to stay the same. Unless there's drastic situations, kind of sort of like what we just happened, where you may get that trigger rate, where they may have, the bank will go and say, hey, we may go and refinance you here.
And if you are concerned about that, you get yourself a fixed rate mortgage, right?
Yeah. It'll be more. It's going to be more, FYI. Yep. But if you're concerned about that, yes, you're going to have a consistent payment for the 25 years if you plan on doing a 25-year mortgage.
Yeah, I think in Canada we're locked to 5 or 10-year maximums. But in the States you can get 25, 30-year fixed mortgages sometimes.
Yeah, so I said 25-year term.
Oh, yes, that's right.
But in no difference, though, it's still going to be relatively same payments over the course of time here.
Yeah.
It's also a huge benefit to purchase a home to build the equity as well. So when you're purchasing a home, when you're making a payment, you're putting it towards owning the home.
Okay, when you're renting, whose mortgage are you paying?
Not
your
yours.
Landlord's.
Yeah.
If you're paying it to yourself, you're literally paying it to yourself. You're getting yourself richer with every single payment. Yes. Sometimes it might be more of a monthly expenditure, but your net worth keeps increasing, right?
Yes. And you're also, the other benefit to this is you're able to go and make the home your own. Yeah. There are more expenses than renting. Like, you're going to have to do the renovations. If there's any type of issues, it's taxes, insurance, exactly. But there's also breaks as well, like for owning a home too.
True. Yep. And you can go get incentives as well. different incentives out there. I think another advantage of I lost my point. Sorry.
No. But there's a lot of advantages and disadvantages when it comes to owning a home as well.
Eventually you can even start renting out the property as well if you end up moving onwards.
Yeah. Well, it brings us to our last point in regards to it.
Oh, nice.
And if you want to have more benefits than, I guess you could say, negative points here, house hack.
Yeah.
Yes, you're going to have to manage a property. You're going to be a property manager. You're going to have to rent out and everything like that. But you're able to get bigger loans if you have a duplex or a triplex or anything like that, because banks are aware that this is income producing.
Exactly.
So if you're only eligible for a $200,000 loan, but you end up saying, well, I'm looking for a duplex. I'm looking to purchase a duplex. Oh, well, in that case, we can give you $230,000 or $250,000 because we know that it'll be easier to service the debt at that point.
Exactly. And it gives you that extra little bit of security. And eventually you can actually just rent it out and move out. You're not committed to staying in it.
Exactly.
A lot of the incentives exist for you if you do decide to stay in it for the first year, I believe.
Yes, exactly.
And
especially
in Canada,
if you're... No, go ahead.
In Canada, it's a huge advantage. If you say, yes, I'm going to live in this, well, you can get a single family or a duplex with a 5% down payment.
Yep.
And then you can also get a triplex and a fourplex with, I think it's 10% down payment.
Yes.
Now, you do need to have the CMHC and insurance to make sure, say, hey, I know I'm paying less of a down payment, but I'm insuring this to make sure that we don't default on this.
Yeah.
But long term, it's a huge advantage to stay in it.
Exactly. So that's a little bit of Will's real estate side there for anyone who Will likes real estate talk here. But our last point to share with all this here, and this is to recapitulate everything. Budget no matter what. Try and budget. Try and create a budgeting plan if you can. It's the most important thing. And I find that these are going to be able to go and pave the way to teaching you financial habits. And the last thing is that I find is to always have a rainy day fund. I've said it. I'm not creating a whole segment to this because we say it almost every second episode.
No, you're right.
Make sure to have a rainy day fund, because if you have anything that goes wrong when you have a home, at least you have something put aside. So if you have that rainy day fund put aside, then go and purchase that first property, pay off your student loans of any kind. If it's not hindering you by any means, just try and have a rainy day fund.
For me, I'm open to share. For me, my next step is to purchasing property. That's my next step.
That is for me too, actually.
Right on. So we're doing pretty well for our 20s and lining ourselves up. And for those who are listening, where are you at? Let us know on Instagram. Leave a comment on YouTube.
Good way to end this episode. Give us info on YouTube or Instagram. We really appreciate it. Appreciate that. Or even on the Spotify or Apple there in the comments. Would really be awesome. But without further ado, my name is Owen Paradis. I'm here with my co-host Goulet. This is episode 117, financial goals and how you the financial goals that you should be achieving in your 20s. And this is a College of Wealth podcast. Peace.
Two fingers, peace.
This has been your daily dose of motivation with the College of Wealth podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for listening, and until next episode.
Fours that we like to go and jump into.
Yeah.
We always have four. We start off with four stats. We have four segments with each of 4 different points. Try some of the stuff. It's pretty basic.
Sure.
And it's it's just very, very it's pretty basic, but it's also really good in general as well to follow this information.
I remember go ahead.
I just noticed that my bedroom door just randomly opened up here. if you look at it in the background.
Well, a good thing is that when we're in split screen view, we don't see it. But you know what? We might just have to go full screen there and make sure to see it.
No, and the reason why I'm saying that is my girlfriend just moved in here.